The introduction of the concept of alternative dispute resolution by Lagos State government was born out of many reasons. Until its introduction, administration of justice was very cumbersome, as litigation took several years to conclude. This was not only discouraging, it practically made access to justice impossible for indigent Lagosians who could not afford the resources needed to prosecute their cases in courts. Not satisfied with this development, several calls and demands were made for a scheme that would provide speedy legal services to the people, make justice accessible and affordable, as well as decongest the courts. Therefore, at the establishment of the Citizens Mediation Center (CMC) in 1999, as part of the comprehensive infrastructural, procedural, and welfare reforms of the judicial sector, its coming was already overdue.
Part of the reason why we did so was because the magistrate courts, of course, were full. There were lots of landlord and tenant cases in the magistrate courts. The magistrate courts could not even resolve the number it had. There were several, and there were several adjournments, delays were rife, and many, many claims were not being answered to, and for the simple reason that our court systems are not even designed to take on the sheer number of claims that there were. So we decided that we had to find a citizens-friendly way of resolving disputes, one that is able to resolve disputes quickly, efficiently, and at the same time give people a sense that justice has been done, that their cases have been heard, that they've been given a day in court.
I can say with certainty that Lagos State engineered whatever reforms you have in the judicial and human rights sectors in Nigeria. The resolve was made to create an alternative, especially for small disputes. So the idea of the CMC came up as part of the reform that the Tinubu administration brought.
With the advent of CMC, the first of its kind in Nigeria, the then Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration was able to address the growing discontent of Lagos State residents with the cumbersome, technical, time-consuming, and expensive process of litigation with a method that is free, participatory, and voluntary in a friendly environment.
It was a new innovation, something that the government had just started. So I wouldn't say it was extremely easy starting off as the head of a Citizens Mediation Center. The Citizens Mediation Center deals with mediation, and a department where you're used to going to court. We were not into mediation at all. So of course we had to undergo training as mediators. So after the training, we became seasoned mediators, so it became easier.
Although it started as a complaint unit under the Directorate of Citizens' Rights in the Ministry of Justice, Governor Babatunde Raji Fashola's administration recognized the relevance of the CMC and its contributions to peaceful coexistence and social harmony in the state. This led to its upgrade by the government by virtue of the Citizens Mediation Center Law No. 6 of 2007.
One of the major milestones that I'm very proud of is that the Citizens Mediation Center is now the default dispute resolution mechanism under the Magistrates Courts Law of 2009 and also related to the Tenancy Law of 2011 for tenancy disputes and disputes arising from the magistrate court system. So the open window for parties who are in dispute in the magistrate's court is the Citizens Mediation Center. So I'm particularly proud of that. It'll take a while before it really shows up on its workload, but the building blocks have been set.
What we did was to do the pioneering work of actually publicizing the center, which was really in its embryonic stage in terms of publicity. Many people were not aware, before then, as they are aware now of the facilities or services that are provided by the center. So we did a lot of public awareness to ensure that people got to know what we were doing, and then of course we increased on the number of centers that were established.
Since its establishment, Citizens Mediation Centers contributed in no small measure to the entrenchment of mediation as an alternative dispute resolution mechanism, especially for those who may not have had access to such an opportunity of mediation. Its growth and relevance is also due to the traditional sentiments attached to litigation and the perceived impact on social harmony.
There is this saying that you don't go to court and become friends. Whereas you leave Citizens Mediation Center and you still continue with your friendship. And that is the beauty of any ADR mechanism. When you talk about people's acceptability, I think what the people want is a system, a process that they could trust.
Initially, people were skeptical about the mediation process, and they have found out mediation ensures that relationships are maintained. It ensures speedy justice. It ensures that there's no acrimony on the part of the other side. It's a win-win situation, and at least it helps for a peaceful society.
CMC provides a conducive forum for settlement of a wide range of disputes by mediating between concerned parties. The center's activities depend on the parties to a dispute who voluntarily agree to the mediation and promise to abide by the outcome of the process through the signing of Memorandum of Understanding, MOU.
I can recall now that it was our effort that made the jurats to be, included in the Memorandum of Understanding. We discovered that the MOU did not contain a jurat, which would be an essential part of a document that an illiterate should append the signature on. So we recommended that that should be included to make sure that the legal standard is maintained concerning enforcement of that document.
In an attempt to remove every form of barrier for anyone that might require the services of the CMC, especially the indigent who could not afford the cost, government ensured that the services of the center is free. This has ensured that regardless of one's socio-economic status, justice can be obtained, and speedily too.
We are looking at how to affect the majority of people who have legal claims or who have legal issues that they wanted resolved. It turns out, of course, that several of those people are not necessarily poor, but there are people who somehow or the other are denied access to the justice system, either on account of the delays or simply on account of the fact that they can't find adequate legal representation. So really, if you like, you might say that it was a grassroots-oriented sort of dispute resolution mechanism. But then we found all sorts of people. For instance, some of the cases that were resolved were land cases involving, families, and these are not necessarily poor people, because land in Lagos, of course, as you know, is a very valuable resource, a very valuable asset. So sometimes they were resolving cases involving, billions of naira, But in many cases, there were disputes involving landlords, tenants, small debts, breaches of contract. In some cases, domestic cases were resolved, and all of that. So these were cases that affected, the lives of the ordinary person.
We say justice delayed is justice denied. So this has been a huge tool for facilitating even what is going on in the court, by making sure that what should not be there is not there. For instance, our figures for 2013, over 28,000 cases were handled by the Citizens Mediation Center. That's a whole lot. I'm not saying that if CMC wasn't there, all 28,000 will be in court. No. Now, the cases that will not have gone to court, it means that a lot of people would have just gone away unsatisfied because they have no means of resolving their dispute. They have no money to go to court, no money to get a lawyer. And they would, in that situation, they might resort to self-help. They might resort to taking laws into their own hands and so on and so on. So we don't want that. To the extent that CMC is able to mediate this number of cases, it has clearly lowered tension within our communities, and it has assisted in the promotion of the rule of law.
Citizens Mediation Center has particularly opened considerable windows of opportunities for parties with various degrees of disputes. These include claims by parties involving small sums, which is not worth the expenses that would be incurred via litigation. It also gives special consideration to matters that are sensitive and confidential in nature by allowing such to be discussed and settled in private.
There was nothing like it. You had to then, as permanent secretary, I had to look for the resources. So I'm the one that had to look for the personnel, the resources, create office space on the ground floor then, etc. But I think it was readily accepted by the citizens.
From a very humble beginning in the Ministry of Justice, the center has expanded considerably as the services are now available in 14 centers spread across the state. They are located at Agege, Alimosho, Amukoko, Badagry, Bariga, Iba, Ibeju, Ikorodu, Ikotun, Ojo, Oshodi, Yaba, and its head office at Motorway Center by the old Lagos toll gate.
The journey has been, like I would say, has been very, very productive, interesting, encouraging, and people friendly. That the citizens of Lagos State are so happy that they have Citizen Mediation Center in Lagos State. To the extent that more local governments are asking, demanding that we should set up a mediation center in their locality.
The lesson of that is that there is demand for mediation at the grassroots level because this is the dispute settlement process that speaks the people's language. You can really understand each other in mediation, as opposed to being in a law court where you speak through a lawyer. The lawyer has his own language, which is not necessarily understandable even to the litigant. And as I keep saying, it's for free. Lagos State government is paying for the lawyers, for the running costs of these centers, for everything that is going on there. So nobody is being charged any money at all to have their disputes resolved. And that's the beauty of it.
In its very impressive history, the CMC has successfully built a highly experienced team of mediators. Aside from adding value to the centers, the team has also been able to build an appreciable level of credibility that keeps people coming voluntarily for their services.
I met a vibrant Citizens Mediation Center in year 2011. I met a crop of project officers, very eager lawyers who were ready to do mediation, but they didn't have the necessary skills to do mediation. I discovered that they were very eager. We were doing a lot of mediations in courts, and we spoke to some of our friends of CMC, and they assisted us in training them in the Lagos State Multi-Door Court. So by the time I left, we were able to build a vibrant office where these mediators actually had the necessary skills for mediation.
We've been very consistent with training, and we are talking of high-level training, sometimes international training for the staff that do mediation. That is very important, and we will continue with it because skill is required. We don't take these things for granted. We make sure that they are trained.
In the delivery of its services, the activities of the Citizens Mediation Center is complemented by strong collaboration with the World Bank through the Lagos Metropolitan Development and Governance Project, the LMDGP, the British Council, the Ford Foundation, and DFID through its Justice for All J4A initiative. These partners assisted in areas like capacity building and provision of offices and office equipment in different parts of the state. It is a fact that CMC has become a beacon of hope and respite for the less privileged. It is amazing how Lagosians have embraced this initiative, a fact demonstrated by the level of patronage being recorded daily at the various centers as it settles over 20,000 matters annually.
So this is my second time coming here. And the first time I came here,
my landlady had a discussion which took us down here. Here is a mediation center such that, the issue between landlord and tenant should be better resolved. And my experience in this place is that they have been taking time to look into problems relating to landlords and tenants. And they have been doing quite impressive work in that direction.
They are nice because the way they will treat you good, and the way they will talk to the tenant, the way they will talk to agent or landlord. Sometimes if there's a difficulty, they say, as you allow the tenant to stay here, they say, as you go and sit down, they talk to him. So after they go out, they talk to me. So the agreement will be the same thing.
Many Nigerians in Lagos State, many citizens of Lagos State, resolve tenancy disputes, resolve many of the family-related disputes, as well as several debt matters are taken to the Citizens Mediation Center. So I know that it has extremely high popularity amongst the people who have those kind of disputes and require a quick and efficient way of dealing with it. Many people, many landlords are worried when they get a letter inviting them to the Citizens Mediation Center. But they often take the benefit of the invitation because they too will have issues with their tenants.
When parties came that time and we were able to resolve the matter, I was happy. It gladdens my heart that I've been able to reconcile, because it is Ministry of Reconciliation, if I may use that phrase. And let me say that I recall a particular case. They've been in court for 15 years. And I was able, with my team that time, to resolve the matter with them in 3 months. We were having meetings almost every other week because we did not want to lose the process to hijackers. And within 3 months, we were able to resolve it.
Even right now in the laws of Lagos State and the High Court laws, every case now has to go through mediation or alternative dispute resolution. And of course, mediation is the preferred alternative. When people come together to talk, you'll find that 80% of the dispute is resolved. More often than not, when people go to courts, it's because there's a certain right that they feel they have been cheated, and this is the only avenue in which we can get redress. But by the time we come together, we sit down, we discuss, the likelihood that the acrimony would have reduced is very high. And you find that in CMC, we provide a very conducive atmosphere for you to come in, you discuss. By the time you go home, you feel happy about the dispute resolution.
Through the support of the Governor Babatunde Raji Fashola's administration, the CMC has become a reference point in the development of alternative dispute resolution mechanism in Nigeria. Several other states of the Federation have understudied its operations in order to replicate the same in their states.
Sometime in 2001 or 2002, all of the attorneys general came around to Lagos to look at the Lagos model and took a resolution, I remember, to establish same across the country. I'm aware that a lot of states have since established mediation centers. As at the last count, we already have 149 staff devoted to this effort. So we have it formalized in Lagos. It may not be formalized everywhere else, but I assure you that mediation is going on virtually everywhere. And then the multi-door courthouse, which is also a concept that has been accepted by other courts and other states of the Federation, ensure that even when you bring your case to court, the judge is able to assess it and recommend mediation. So you go and do mediation first. If it fails, you come back to court. So it is a service that is in growing demand.
With steady, but progressive steps. The Citizens Mediation Center, the CMC, has enlarged access to justice, promoted a less litigious society by providing a non-adversarial forum for settlement of civil disputes, and enhanced peaceful cohabitation among residents.
The state government has really showed a lot of foresight in the establishment of the Citizen Mediation Center. There is a lot of interest now from the public to use mediation to resolve their disputes, because they've seen that the mediators that are here, they are impartial, they are unbiased, and they attend to them speedily. The lessons I have learned is that if people know about a particular service and they get benefits from the service and they are satisfied with it, they surely will come back and they'll recommend it to others.
CMC today, I would say, has gone explosive, because if you notice, you'll find out that CMC has centers in a lot of local governments. That means people are reaching out to them from all the local governments, from the different areas of Lagos State. So they've even had to set up centers to satisfy the demands of the people. That shows that, I mean, it's a success story.
It is particularly taking considerable pressure off the law courts by complementing it in ensuring that justice is done always.
The delays in the system are enormous, and in Lagos worse because of the sheer numbers that we have to deal with in Lagos. I mean, Lagos has close to 20 million people, and we have probably about 115 magistrate courts and about over 50 high courts. Now, to deal with 20 million people, to deal with those numbers, certainly you can't rely on the formal institutions alone. So the alternative dispute resolution mechanism, which really is a way by which you're saying, okay, look, come and tell us what your case is, and there's a mediator. At the end of the day, you try and create a situation where there is no loser. It's not a winner-takes-all type of thing. And that I think is a major advantage of mediation.
I see it wider than what we have now. And I'm looking at a situation personally, working on a project now, which I am here to finish. And it is to integrate mediation process into the court system itself, especially at the magistrate court level. Matters that have to do with landlord and tenants. That when it comes to fruition, I see a situation where mediation coming in, issue of landlord and tenant matters should be resolved within 2 months in the magistrate courts. And the only process that can make it work is integrating mediation into the magistrate court proceedings. That will be your first point of call.
I'm particularly proud of the men and women who have helped to build this story over the last 15 years. And I'm sure many of them will be here watching, but the truth is, without each and every person's contribution, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Through the Citizens Mediation Center, the administrations of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Governor Babátúndé Rájí Fáṣọlá have demonstrated the potentials inherent in the social justice system. The establishment of CMC has indeed proved to be a giant stride in social re-engineering pioneered by Lagos, the true center of excellence.